One. Hello and welcome to Chapter 78 of DC Alliance Podcast. With me, as always, is Clay. Clay, how you doing this evening for the second time?
Yeah, it is the second time. We little inside baseball. We recorded a little bit of superhero discussions talking about one of our favorite shows. Um, doing pretty good. Doing pretty
Yeah.
good. Really enjoying myself tonight. Having a little bit of alcoholic beverage cider here.
Ooh.
Really, really good. Uh we had this brand when we went to go to Disney World. Uh, over at what is it, Epcot?
Yeah.
They have the, I forgot what they call it, like the beer run around the world
Okay.
is yeah, it's around the world because there's different uh countries that are represented at Epcot, and the German one has these fruit flavored ciders. They're amazing, and we actually found it at a local wine shop right next to our house. So
Oh, okay, that's pretty cool.
yeah.
Oh, sweet. And it kind of looks delicious, actually. I'm just drinking water, so yeah. Woo. Also, I don't want to waste it. It's like 10:30 here, so I'd have to have a couple of night, have a nice little. This weekend coming, I'm gonna try and see Ghostbusters, and hopefully Allison will go with me. And
It was very unplanned. Well, planned and unplanned. But I'm going to be recording something with a fellow GUA member on Thursday. And I was like, you know what? I deserve the day off. So I took the day off. And then they reminded me, oh, I might go see Ghostbusters. Like, oh, crap. That is like the premiere night. So I may actually go see Ghostbusters as well. So
I won't be seeing it till Friday because I have a stats quiz test thing on
math
Friday.
sucks.
So yeah, and this teacher is absolutely abysmal. It's a nightmare. I But we're not here to talk about any of that stuff. We're here to talk about DC. We're getting scraps right now, Clay. I look at our Marvel Alliance brothers, and all I can see is them sitting at the table, undoing a couple rungs on the belt buckle, and just sitting out a la Homer Simpson, completely stuffed, bellies flapping over with that how much content they're getting. It's absurd. It's like every week there's amazing new content. So it's great though for myself and you because we both enjoy Marvel as well. So it's interesting. The boys actually did a breakdown of Disney Plus on Saturday. I think they hit the feeds Saturday or Sunday morning, one of the two. I listened to it.
They
It was
recorded Saturday and it hit the feed
Sunday
Sunday
morning.
morning.
Yeah, yeah.
Yep.
I think I listened to it before any of our GUA chat members were even up because of my crazy time zone. But it was great. So check that out as a special episode. They talk about Disney Plus Day, aka Marvel and Pixar Day. Right, Clay?
Don't even get me started.
I had to do it a second time.
Oh my god, I am. mm. And
Tune
then we're getting,
in.
again, we're
Tune.
getting more nudes. Like it just keeps ringing out, and it's just like it's not the positive news. But me and Katie are trying to keep all of our thoughts to ourselves until we discuss it on Star Wars Alliance live Wednesday nights.
So,
So
listeners, I tried twice in 2 hours to get him to basically have a little rant about that, but I feel like he's saving it up for Wednesday night. Yeah, it's about Marvel Plus Day. A little bit of Pixar sprinkled in there as well at the start, just to get like a appetizer of Pixar, and then the main course of Marvel Day. But yeah, check that special podcast out in the feeds. That's great stuff for them, and they're getting a Spider-Man trailer as well tomorrow. So or tonight, depending on when you're listening to this. So fun times for Marvel Alliance boys. But I guess I'll talk about all the members of all the podcasts on the network and do the network plug. We are part of the Geek Ultimate Alliance Network with podcasts, with 8 podcasts in total, sometimes 7 days a week, sometimes 6, sometimes 5. On Mondays is World's Finest True Believers with Chris Balga. That's where Chris and the guests take a look at the comic of a guest choice. Both myself and Clay have been on that show. It's great fun. If you're a comic fan or you want to get into comics, check that out. That rotates bi-weekly with Ranger Alliance, which is out this week, where Clay and rotating guest host Tony, Joe, and this week Jake talk about everything and anything Power Rangers. This week, uh, Jake and Clay talked about the last part of the Green Ranger losing his power storyline. This is even more frustrating because Clay literally told me the name of the episode an hour and a half ago, and I still want to say what I thought it was before, See No Evil. So,
It's Green No More.
God, son of a frick. I knew that's what, so frustrating. But yeah, not the podcast is not frustrating, it's entertaining. So check that out if you're a fan of Power Rangers, especially the old classic Mighty Morphin, because I really enjoy you guys talking about those.
They season 2 is very, very interesting because like we crapped on a ton of season 1 for the storytelling and everything else. There is one episode in particular this week that we kind of crapped all over, but not as bad as it was for a season. Season 2, they kind of got their grips together and they kind of found the formula of how they're supposed to do their writing and everything. So it is ending up well. We still have like 40 something episodes of season 2, and then we have all of season 3, which is the last season for Mighty Morphin, and then we're going to jump into Zeo. But we're not going to finish season 2 until this time next year.
Which
So
is crazy. And then people complaining about CW episodes, get at me with the Power Rangers episode length, seasons length. I mean, yeah, so that's Mondays. On Tuesdays is this show, DC Alliance, with myself and Clay. On Wednesdays is Superhero Discussions. On Thursdays is Star Wars Alliance with Clay and Katie. On Fridays is Marvel Alliance with Chris and Brent. On Saturdays is a walk through the multiverse. That's where Joe takes a look at everything and anything that isn't Marvel, DC, or Star Wars. And that's bi-weekly. And then on Sundays bi-weekly is Slice of Film, where Katie and a guest takes a look at a movie of a guest choice. Ghostbusters, the new movie's out this week, so Katie obviously took a look back at the first two, so take a look at that. Marvel Alliance, Star Wars Alliance, and DC Alliance all go live on the Geekverse YouTube channel. DC Alliance goes live at this time on Monday nights, 9 p.m. Eastern Time. Star Wars Alliance goes live on the Geekverse YouTube channel at 7 p.m. Eastern Time on Wednesdays, and Marvel Alliance goes live on the Geekverse YouTube channel on Thursdays at 9:10 p.m. Eastern Time. All three of those shows have their own feeds, so just search the name of those shows if you just want only Star Wars, only DC, or only Marvel. But if you want anything and everything, stay subscribed to the Geek Ultimate Alliance on your podcast app of choice. We also have a Patreon, 2 tiers, a $1 tier and a $5 tier. The $1 tier is basically a tip jar. You like what we're doing and you want to help us out. And the $5 tier is where you get your extras. You get your ad-free episodes, early access episodes, and Patreon exclusive episodes. Like I said, well, like I will say in the future, if you listen to this, then listen to Superhero Discussions. The Last Ronin is done in the can, and it could be up on Patreon by the time you listen to it. If not, stay glued for that because it will drop. We had a lot of fun doing it. There's only one issue left, so I can't wait to break that last final one down when it does drop, whenever that may be. Clay, that's everything. That's all the network plugs. Also, Manscaped is a sponsor for this month. GUA Pod to get
actually it's
20% off.
until today. So
Oh,
the people who
you're
actually
listening
listen to
live.
this, yeah, the people who listen to this tomorrow will not be able to use that.
No, you got to use that now, live in the
Yes.
chat to get that. But that ends tonight. Thanks, Clay, for pointing that out. But you still have a little time left. GUA Pod give you 20% off and free shipping. So check that out. Thanks again to Manscaped for being sponsor. And like I say all the time, we're an ad-supported network, so we don't pick the ads or the volume. So whenever we do take them, listeners, we'll give you a little quick shout out to adjust your volume, and we'll be back quick and painless. So Clay,
Where do we
we
want to go first? Do
should
you
we
want to
go
do
Doom
news
Patrol or
or Doom
news?
Patrol?
I think we should go with Doom Patrol first. Get that
Okay.
out of the way and talk about the news because this is something we knew was coming. We didn't know what we were going to get news wise coming down the pipe. So we have the
That is true.
season finale of Doom Patrol. Clay, uh, season as a whole. Before we get into the episode, season as a whole, what do you think?
It's very wishy-washy for me. Like there was episodes that really grabbed me. There was episodes that I didn't even pay attention to. There was episodes that I was not very interested in finishing, but I ended up finishing it later, you know?
Yeah.
Um I I'm very conflicted with how I feel towards Doom Patrol. Even with this season finale, it's not the perfect ending to a season whatsoever. Uh but I would say it's probably adequate to how this season has been. So not a whole lot of points docked to it, to be completely honest. Um, but I do still worry about how far they can push this story. Um, as when I say story, I mean these ragtag group of characters. Because recently, as recent as Supergirl, Arrow, you know, they kind of knew when they were done. And I'm not saying Doom Patrol is done by any means, but they knew when they were done and they're like, "Hey, we're going to stop it." I don't want Doom Patrol to be one of those shows that are like, "Hey, this is one of the only live action superhero shows we have on HBO Max, so it needs to run as long as possible." Uh, I don't want it to turn into that. So hopefully, when they feel that they don't have anything left, that it does just like end, you know, hopefully. But overall, this season, I would give it out of a 10, I would give this season a 7, 8, maybe.
This is a lot better than what like the reception that I got from you. The score is better. I don't know if that makes any sense,
Well,
but
it-
I was
well,
expecting more like a 6, in the range of a 6
well, no,
from.
it's just like for me, like I when I really start to dislike something, that's when it breaks the thresholds of 6 and lower.
Okay.
Um, because for me, I think of it as a school grade for us here in the States. I don't know how it is in Canada, how they grade in Canada, but for us, it's 70 and above is passing. And so it's a D all the way to an A, you know? So for me, I would say this would get about a C plus, which would be 77, 78. You know?
No, I don't know because I don't know that sort of marking system because the marking system I come from is um, what's half of 100?
50?
That's pass fail.
Holy shit.
Well,
Really?
not in everything. There's stuff like like there like when you go. I'm eventually going to be an accountant. If you want it to be a certified accountant, you got to go through this course, this CA course, and you
Yeah,
have
yeah,
to
yeah.
have a 70 level throughout everything to pass that. So there are certain, but like in public school, 50 was pass, 51 was
Oh
pass.
man, I should have gone to school in Canada.
Yeah,
Man,
like the D's were 50 to 6, like 50 to 60, C's were 60 to 70, B's like so I have it a little mixed up, but A was 80 onward.
that is insane.
Yeah, so that's
Absolutely
when you
insane.
said 7, 8, and my scoring, I'm like, oh, I thought he liked it a little more. But now that getting your scoring, that makes sense. And I'm going to push back on a couple things. Just the episodes first. When you compare them to the Arrowverse, we got to remember too that they st- they were doing 20 episodes for like they're in after season 5, they were at their 100th episode. Doom Patrol
Yes.
after 3 seasons is only at 30. So we
True.
do
Very
have we
true.
do have we can go. I think we could go 6, 7 seasons with these guys, and still you're not even at 100 episodes. So I think that there's still a lot left on the bone. There are some stories that I didn't enjoy in this season, but overall, I'll say Jane's whole story arc throughout this season I really enjoyed. That was super interesting. Cliff's story throughout this season I really thought was interesting, and Vic's story throughout the season I really thought was interesting, and even Larry's. But I was not a fan of Rita's story. I thought that got very convoluted and messed up with the
Yes,
whole
very,
time and the
very
travel.
much.
And honestly, Chief dying was swept under the rug pretty quickly, whereas I thought he was going to end up coming back somehow, especially when they were digging up his head in the first couple episodes and using that
Well,
to
I feel like what excuse me, I can't remember the name of the actor. Timothy
Timothy
Dalton.
Dalton. Yeah.
I feel like he's a pretty high, priced actor. for this show. And with these shows rumored to only be $60 million, I feel like a pretty big chunk of that is Timothy Dalton. So I feel like just to be able to kind of use the budget adequately, you kind of just have to take him off the table, unfortunately.
I hope that's not the case. I hope he'd rather just want it to be like written out and just go on and do. He's a little bit up there in age too, so maybe
And also, you have to remember, because he's up there in age, during COVID, he probably was like, hey, this probably isn't safe for me to be
yeah. So
around
maybe he
everybody.
does come back around. That's a good point too, Clay. I guess I think let's. I'm trying to debate. Let's let's we're going to take a quick ad break now before we dive into spoilers for the season finale. Listeners, we don't pick the ads or the volume. I'm going to give you a quick 3 count to adjust your volume, and we'll be back shortly in 3, 2, 1. And we're back. Okay, Clay, let's get into the episode now because right away we just pick up right where we left off. And there are some things I really enjoyed about this episode. And before we, because he's really a little footnote, literally and figuratively, I want to talk about Doctor Evil in Robot Man's body because I absolutely wasn't. I wasn't sure if it was going to work for me.
Is it Dr. Evil or is it Brain? I think his name's Brain.
I thought it was. Yeah, I think Big Brain.
I think it's just Brain.
The Brain is what it is. That's what it
Yeah.
was. The Brain. Dr. Evil. Why do I think Dr. Evil? The Brain. Yeah, so I loved him actually as Cliff. The whole shirt decked out,
And
grabbing
the
the lady's
suit and
bum.
everything. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Just worked for me.
Now, we do jump off, like we do start off right there, also with the bus uh being completely crashed,
Yeah.
which I feel like their bus has been destroyed every single season in some sort of capacity, whether it be just an engine, whether it be the tires going flat or something always happens to the bus, and now it's
But it
completely
really got
demolished.
destroyed in season 1 when they went to this town that they ultimately end up back in at the end of the episode,
Oh, that's true.
which is a
Yeah, yeah,
very fun little full circle look how we came, which is I really found that interesting.
yeah. But this is where, like, we get, like, we have been seeing Rita, and like you said in the non-spoiler kind of conversation, that her story has been very convoluted. And I mentioned this, could Rita become the villain of this season? And she's not necessarily the villain, but she is the antagonist. She is somebody who is in everybody's way. She is in it for herself, to be completely honest. Like, she kind of makes it sound like she is there for everybody's well-being, and to help everybody in the sisterhood of Dada. But that's not true, because she just wants to exact revenge for her
She's
loved
she
one.
she was called out on that uh, at the bus crash,
Yeah.
and literally says you're not interested in Cliff. You just want revenge. That's all you care about.
Yeah. And there was something there, but because her story is so convoluted, I I almost don't care, because this story takes her story, which is super convoluted, as we said, and then it's just oh, we kiss, we make up, we're all good now, but not really. It. I feel like nothing was really accomplished this season.
With her, yeah, I feel like she did go around in the circle. Although if we see her become even more evil going forward, then that could be built on from here because she even says like, "I'm done with dancing around the darkness." Instead, and she literally pours scalding hot water over to the brain's brain and killing him, like
Essentially,
essentially.
that's what I would assume. Yeah.
That's what I assumed anyway. I love how the I can't remember the monkey's the giant
Uh,
ape's name. Uh,
Mala,
Mala. I love how he basically pieces out and leaves Madame Rouge and Cliff in the
like
gurney.
out to die. Yeah, basically. I so let's do it by characters, because
Yeah.
like you can say quote unquote that like everybody has like a moment of like like they all end their stories for this season, but again I feel like nothing, like no characters really learn anything from here. uh I think the only one you can say has learned anything, which we, well, maybe Jane as well, but I feel like there's still stuff left on the table. And I understand you need stuff left on the table so that way you can build for the next season. I totally understand that. But there's just like, it feels like if I were to just take the scenes of Jane's story from episode 1 to episode 10 and just like supercut them, superimpose them all together, I don't get a story, you know? I just get random moments of just like, hey, this is going on, this is going on, this is going on. I want to know, like, what was the whole reasoning behind, like, I guess the whole reasoning was the fact that people want the personalities wanted to be free, right?
Well, they didn't want to die or have Kay forget about them, and that's what they were kind of essentially scared was going to happen if
But
Kay took control as the primary. Because
I just think that's
she wouldn't
silly
need it.
though.
No, well, they don't know Clay, because she's never been primary before. So, like, it's hard to really know what's going on there. And then we see some of the actual personalities turn into rock and crumble away because of what
Well,
happened.
they were in the mist, yeah.
Yeah. So, well, we don't know what would have happened to them if they like were there because like Jane picked up the rocks in the tunnel and they were uh, kind of falling into rocks. So I thought that all the personalities were going to disappear and it was only going to be Kay left. So I still think that's on the board and on the table. Maybe that'll be ultimately the end of
Uh,
Jane's arc. But
but okay, so question. This is a very important question because we have seen the persona of Jane for majority of this show.
yeah,
Like, and I feel like she switched other personalities really only in season 1. Like barely anything in season 2 and almost not at all in this season, right?
I don't even know if she could because of the issues that she was having. If she could even switch personnel. Actually, no, she did do that a few times with the teleportation
Exactly.
person. Yeah.
But my thing is, what if something happens to Kay? The whole reason of them living or being alive in the first place is to protect Kay. What if Kay dies?
I have no idea. I also don't know even maybe
Because
Kay had
she
those
is
powers all along and these personalities are a way for her to cope with all the powers.
exactly, like we see her being, well, in I think in the last episode, we don't even see it in this episode. We see in the last episode that she saw all of those like demon looking eyes, the tunnel collapse, and that's the last we saw.
Well, we don't know what's going to happen with Kay.
Exactly,
Yeah.
but that's what I mean. Like, if my mind goes to, if she dies, does that mean everybody's dead? Or is this like an inception moment where Jane was always the primary and Kay was the made up one?
That's the questions that we're going to ultimately get answered. I think that the secretary lady is going to be the primary for a while now. So I don't know what's going to happen there, but I thought her whole thing was rather interesting to me. It's just I kind of wanted more of it, but because there's 10 episode seasons, I think there is more to going on. Whereas with Cyborg's story, I feel like this may be budgetary a little bit because I really thought that by the end of this episode he would have came to come to peace with who he was as
But even
Cyborg.
we have seen behind the scenes looks at him, and all of the cyborg parts of his body were actually like physical, like they were not
Yeah.
visual effects. They
Well,
were
not
all
all the
prosthetic.
time. Sometimes when he's on the arm cannon, and that is not actually
Well, yeah,
real.
the
So
arm cannon, yes.
yeah,
But I mean everything else where you could actually see like covering his eye and his arm and everything else. Like he has shown that behind the scenes that he can just take those off.
yeah.
And I want to know, and unfortunately there's nobody here that could answer that question, but is it a moment of like, hey, and I mean, I apologize if this is out of turn, but I am just taking it as it is with, of course, Cyborg being black. Is this a moment of, hey, let's not have our only black character not be completely like human, you know? Because the big controversial thing with black individuals in movies is like in Disney, they're always getting turned into an animal or doing whatever, like, So it just a thought that came to my mind when thinking about Cyborg's story of him becoming essentially looking like he's completely, human again. I thought of that, and it may or may not be. Again, we don't have anybody to confirm or
I
deny
didn't
that.
think that for a second. So just
I mean,
my on my side, I just because of how famous the character is.
mhm.
It's not like this is a new character or something Disney's taking up for a new story. This character's been around for ages, and they've been pretty good with the character up to this point. So that's just something that I didn't think of. Obviously, it could be a possibility, but I don't think so. I just feel like that story will it'll take Ronnie for him to figure out that story. He's already starting to be like, I didn't think I could bring anything to the team without my abilities, and maybe ultimately helping Larry there at the end will be the reason why he has to get his uh, armor and that
Maybe
back to help him sort of stay alive. So
maybe, but at the same time, they've already said that everything underneath the prosthetics is still cyborg, you
yeah, so
know?
just maybe it'll take something for him to have to get rid of those synthetic grafts. That's all.
Maybe,
But yeah,
maybe.
I felt like that was going to be the culmination of this season, but
Yeah.
that was
Well,
not. So
we both said that. We thought that there was going to be a moment of like, hey, it doesn't matter what I look like or who I am, but all I know is that I'm cyborg, kind of
yeah,
moment. And he didn't have that at all.
no,
Now, there was a little bit of a moment of like you said, this whole thing with helping Larry, this whole moment of like, oh, maybe there wasn't really a place for me. Um, and I was like, see, I told you, you're the black sheep among black sheep. And I did like that they confronted that. They're like, hey, like, I'm the hero. You guys aren't heroes. And one thing that I absolutely loved was in the beginning, like they said, like, we're not a team. Like we don't really like work as a team. And that's what I've been saying this entire season. That they don't really put themselves out there as like a team. They're more of like a dysfunctional family,
but ultimately, in the end of the season, they
At
get
the end of
to
the season, they do put themselves out there like a team.
they're a combination of what you just said.
Yeah.
They're an awkward group plus team. There's some sort of in the middle of that.
But so do you want to go Madame Rouge or Cliff next?
Cliff, because I really loved Cliff's story throughout the season. I loved the whole Parkinson's effect on him, and ultimately that causing him to go down a really dark path with the gambling and the selling of everyone's stuff, the losing chances with Clara. But the big thing for Cliff for me was the self-flagellation. Like it didn't seem like it affected him, and we get this big speech with Clara and with Madame Rouge. His speeches there show that this whole thing, especially with Clara, where he said, like, I did things with you that you don't even remember, like you were too young to remember, but I do remember. So that was going back to the flagellation.
Yeah.
So I thought his story was done great. And my biggest question for Cliff is, will he be in the giant robot the entire time, or will he get legs put on his old body and be around to that as well?
Well, this is like why I question like maybe it was a COVID thing and like somehow they are able to bring Chief back and then Chief is able to give him a new body.
Well, we did get hints there with the brain that he did have the specs or the plans for the body. He just needed someone to build them under his guidance.
Yeah.
So Rita has those theoretically, anyway. I would assume so. After turning his brain to mush, uh, so she could even do that like next year, or like bring Chief back to do it as well.
Yeah, for sure. I really enjoyed his story as well as far as Cliff's story. Um, I did like you said, him going back to his daughter and like saying, "Hey, like you don't know me, and I need to let you know. Like it's not about the credit cards. It's about me just being an effed up dad, and I don't want to have that anymore. I want to actually have a family, and I really enjoy that. I think every scene with Cliff, I just like eat up all the time. He is the heart of this show. Um, he I I don't know how I feel with him being in a giant freaking robot, to be
I
completely
loved
honest.
every scene of it in this
Well, like,
episode,
yeah,
but I
like
don't know
it's
how the logistics are going to work for an entire season. So
exactly. You talk about budgetary reasons for Cyborg, and it's like, yeah, this is gonna be a problem next season, you know?
it's not really when you think about it. If you're doing like a lot of like outward shots, and then you have that base place of him being placed in the brain's old body in the giant robot, and you could just have people talking to him. Like it could be his own set, the giant robot, like
Oh
bridge
yeah, like,
Star
oh, I'm
Trek
gonna go
thing.
talk to Cliff, and instead of
Yeah.
talking to him face to face, they go inside.
Well, I love how they used him and the time machine to go to wherever the threat was.
Yeah.
So I thought that was a really interesting way of using it in the end, and that made me think maybe he'll be in that suit forever, or maybe he'll just, like I say, like you said, get Chief or somebody else to build him legs. That's all he needs, really, is
Well,
legs.
John has a really excellent point here. They do have a time machine now, so he can come back easily as far as
Yeah.
Chief. So I think that would be very interesting if they play along with that. But speaking of the time machine, let's go ahead and go to Madame Rouge's story. She has a come to Jesus moment. She does have this moment of like she does want to fix things. She doesn't want to be evil anymore. And she does go to the time machine. Well, she stumbles upon the time machine. And I can't remember who was the narrator for the time machine, but like
Larry.
was it Larry?
Yeah. I'm fairly confident it was
No way.
very confident.
I'm gonna have to look that up later.
Yeah, I'm
But
very confident, but we'll see.
so she is, of course, talking to this narration, um, because it's very much a. Have you ever seen the movie? Um, oh shit, what's the movie with Will Ferrell? Stranger Than Fiction, where like there's an author every single time she writes something down, it's actually Will Ferrell's character, and he like hears the narration. That's basically how the time machine is. So she's hearing this narration
Yeah.
and she's arguing with it and she's like, no, I want to go back further and I want to fix things. And the narration's like, oh, well, little did she know she can't go back and fix things and blah, 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 blah. But she does find a workaround. She actually goes, because my big thing was like, okay, you're going to go back in time. But we have found out that one of the big side effects of time travel in this universe, in this world, is that you lose your memories. So it doesn't matter where you go, you're kind of screwed. Well,
Well, you are, but then we get when Rita and Madame Rouge come face to face after Madame Rouge uses the time machine and doesn't remember who she is. She looks at her and tells her to remember, and she does remember.
yes, but
So,
she also has the help of her own little note, which
but no,
gives
we got all
descriptions of all those
we got
characters.
the visual thing of her remembering all the
Yes,
memories.
yes,
So, I guess it depends on the connection with the person, how much you forget. Remember, maybe I don't know.
maybe.
They played a little loose with the rules there at the end, but uh, I gotta say that I did enjoy some of her story. I think the whole thing about her making amends Was she gonna go on that path though? Because the only reason she's even exploring that is because the Brotherhood of Evil kicked her right, put her on a gurney, and was gone. If it wasn't for Malaj, she'd be dead. Like that's what the brain wanted to kill her, and she betrayed. Like she went with the Brotherhood of Evil. So I wanted her to make the decision instead of having it made for her. You know what I mean?
But even still, she could have just as easily decided, "Hey, I'm free now. I'm gonna kill everybody." She still made the choice.
That's true. Yeah, but she couldn't. No, wait. It changes when she leaves Cliff because she could kill Cliff the way that Rita kills the brain,
Yeah,
and she doesn't do it. She just leaves, and Cliff even points that out that there must not be a terribly shitty person. There must be somewhat of a good person in there somewhere. If you're
yeah.
not going to kill me, and she bails. But I really did enjoy that like some of her story, but I thought with the time traveling thing, it didn't play as well for me this season as I thought it was going to.
I I like the idea of it, but like we said, it just made Rita's story way too convoluted,
Yeah,
and it
complicated.
didn't really make sense to me how she came back and how everything got connected again. Like I just kind of played
When other
along.
people can't go back and change things,
Yeah.
but she went back and made her own. Yeah, it when I tried to think about it a lot, it made me scratch my head.
Yeah. So overall,
Wait,
um
we can't leave him out because we got to talk about Larry too.
oh, that's true. Larry
Can't leave
Larry
Larry
had
out.
his moment, this parasite we find out is basically a negative spirit or
Yeah,
is a negative spirit. Um and he does have this moment of like I don't want to do that anymore. Like I just left my other negative spirit freaking not too long ago. I don't want to be attached to this thing again. And that's when Cyborg has his whole speech. And
and tying in the stuff that Larry was told in the flagellation. So even though the Dada sisterhood and all that annoyance was like annoying to me, the eternal flagellation like really had some profound effects on Larry and Cliff, especially.
yes,
Yeah,
for sure. But it does end with Larry being reconnected with this new baby freaking negative spirit. And there's a moment where like we think Larry's gonna be like the hero of the day and he's all glowing and stuff. And I was like, holy crap, this is awesome. And then within seconds just falls to the ground and
I
he's like just done.
I love how Madame Rouge has written on her note, "These are all morons," and she's like, "Yeah,
Duly noted. Yeah, yeah, yeah,
in
yeah.
the 1 minute I have landed here and have 1 minute's worth of memories. Yeah, that kind of backs that up. So, and now she's a part of the team, and I love how Rita says she asks for a second chance, essentially, like all of them. And Rita's reasoning behind it is, I can keep an eye on you this way. So
Yeah.
we are definitely going to get an episode next season where it's just the two of them, and they got to work out their crap. But I really enjoy this addition to the team, and I feel like she, depending on if she remembers everything, she could be a really valuable chief fill-in for them.
Yeah, for sure. We did kind of walk past it, but the whole thing with Jane now is she is no longer primary.
Or well, we don't know that for sure. It's just speculated by Hammerhead and us
Like
as the
cuz
listeners because
cuz
they don't openly say. She just says that the secretary's thing that she craves the most is control.
it behind the scenes,
Yeah,
like between the lines, the things
there
that
you
we
go.
didn't
Yeah,
see is Jane offered, "Hey, if you go back to K, I will give you primary." Essentially, that is what the deal was. And that is why when they decide to clear the tunnel in the underground, the secretary is giving all of the orders. And
yeah.
so Hammerhead's like, what the hell's going on? What are you doing? And that's when she's like, oh crap, you gave her primary. Is that even something you can do?
That's the thing
And
I wanted to focus on. Can she even do that when Kay figures all this out? Maybe Kay will just appoint Jane again. Maybe that's who got to pick out who the primary is.
I I'm going to go ahead and assume, and this is a crazy assumption, I think Kay is dead, and somehow they're able to stay alive within her body, and they are all going to fight, like for primary, for
Royal
freedom,
Rumble for primary.
for essentially freedom. Um,
That would turn the whole thing up on its head. So, but I don't see it, but it- that would be crazy if that actually happened. It'd be cool, crazy. Like, oh my god.
well, and because it does make me question. Like for me, I would think if a person is dead, then the people living inside her cannot live.
Yeah,
But if these are all individual personalities who are all their own individual beings, maybe they can all live as long as they have something to live in, you know?
these are
So,
questions that hopefully will be answered shortly into next season because we know they're getting another season.
yeah,
Uh,
for sure.
so Clay, would I don't know if it's the the afterglow of Titans being over, but I enjoyed this season. It got off to a rocky start with the time travel and the sister
Oh,
Dada stuff,
compared to
but
Titans, this is 100 out of a 10.
it really smoothed out itself, especially at the end too, the season finale, and doubly better than last year's where it had to end with COVID on episode 9.
Yeah.
So this was got a lot more finale to it. I know I wanted to see a couple people's storylines be a little bit better, but ultimately I thought this was a pretty solid season, and I am very interested. They've never been more of a team than they are here because the end of the episode they go off to fight this giant ball sack is what they call it. Uh, and I love it. I wonder will we be going out on more missions, or by the time we check back in, shit's hit the fan. They all have quit and don't want to have. So, but any possibility is there's a chance for here with this crowd, and I'm just glad this is a crazy show, and I really enjoy it. Robot Man, I never knew I needed you in live action, and now I don't know what I would do if I never had you.
I overall I really did enjoy this season. Um like I said, it had its ups and downs. I'm still a little worried for the show, and I think that's just I think Titans has screwed every DC show for me ever to come into existence. From now on, I'm always questioning it. They created Titans, so I have to question everything. Um, but hopefully, with better shows, it'll get me to calm down a bit. And hopefully, with the cancellation of Titans after season 5. Um, but you
Season
know,
5, he said season 5.
hey, we didn't really talk about it, but freaking what's his
Yeah,
name?
season 4 and 5. Yeah,
He mentioned 4 and 5, and then he like stumbled and he's like, oh well, blah blah blah, and he kept on going. So they do have a season 5.
yeah.
So
They definitely do not have a plan. Uh, okay, I guess with that wrapped up, we look forward to that uh, next season. Don't worry, listeners. We have a special little show we're going to review the first 5 parts of The Flash Armageddon. The first part is airing tonight. So myself and Clay will review the 5 parts, whether we like it or not.
are we gonna review the 5 as a whole, or are we gonna
No,
review
one at a
5
time each
one at
week.
a time? So I have to
Yeah.
watch this episode. Okay.
Yeah. But you got a
Okay.
whole week to watch it, pretty much.
And this is the Batwoman episode, right?
Yeah. No, it was all The Flash. There's 5 episodes of The Flash.
5 episodes of the Flash each week.
Yeah.
Okay.
One a week for 5 weeks.
Okay. Cool.
So we will talk about that, listeners. That'll be our show. And then hopefully, I'm pretty sure Peacemaker will be right around the corner, if not like pick up where that one leaves off. So yeah, that'll fill the gap. Thankful for Doom Patrol and Clay. We'll take a quick break and get back to the I don't know what to call this Batman rumor, maybe rumor,
It's
nah,
it's it's wild.
Snell's hope and dreams. Okay, we'll be back in a quick second. Give you a quick 3 count to adjust your volume. We'll be back shortly. 3, 2, 1. And we're back. Okay, Clay. I don't know what's going on with Druid and Joker because I don't know the Barry guy and anything else besides Eternals. So I know Snell asked us a question that kind of correlated with our thoughts of him being Joker. if it actually happens. Like there's rumors out his brother
Oh, I forgot to
kind of.
write that question down. Do you have that question?
I don't have it exactly, but that was kind of the gist of it. I think he posted in the GUA chat like
Oh,
multiple days
okay.
ago. So
I should write
uh,
those down.
I thought I took a screenshot of it, but I did not. I just checked. But it's essentially that's what he asked us because I don't know the
There
guy's last
is,
name.
so this all stems from this Heroic Hollywood posted this picture, or it wasn't even, well, I guess it was Heroic Hollywood posted what looks like honestly a photoshopped picture. And then I guess Barry's brother
Yeah,
on Facebook said, "So it's finally out. My brother playing the Joker in the new Batman. It's really unreal stuff." So, and then the person who commented on Twitter said either Barry's brother is joking around or accidentally confirmed that Barry is playing the Joker in the Batman movie.
I think he's joking around because he said really unreal stuff.
Yeah.
But from what I've seen in the little bit I got from internals, I think it would be pretty cool. I know we just want a Joker cast. I don't know if we'll even. I think they
I don't
may.
want a Joker.
I want to see a Joker. I want to see a Joker if Matt Reeves wants to give us a Joker. But I do think they'll go the way of Batman Begins, where we don't even see the Joker in the first movie. We don't hear about the Joker. He's not a thing. I don't even think we'll get a post credits thing. Well, it wasn't post credit because it was still in the movie. But at the end of movie scene, I don't think we'll even get that. I think that if he's in this, it will be next movie, or I hope it will be. I don't want to see the Joker in this. I don't want to see a little Easter egg of him. I would like for this to be focused on uh, Riddler, Penguin, Catwoman, and stay away from Joker for right now and build him up afterwards.
Here's the thing. SBUB says here, TLDR, he is playing a policeman. People think he's the Joker, and he says either he thought a fan edit was a real photo or he is joking.
That's what I think, yes, Bubs.
Here's the problem when you put Joker in anything. You put Joker in this film, like you said, takes away everything.
Uh,
Everything. You can watch the entire 2.5, 3 hour movie. Anything everybody's going to be talking about is Joker. That's it.
I don't know about that. I don't think he overshadows Batman,
Oh no, I
especially.
100%. I think
No,
because
not.
do you know why? Do you know why? Because it's unexpected. Because people still don't know if it's going to happen.
No, I don't think it's
So
going to
if
overshadow everything. I think that's especially from what we're going to get in a minute or two. What you're talking about is that's not going to happen with a couple minutes. Maybe if that was like a 20 or 30 minute storyline, but that's not going to be that much of the movie.
Venom 2, aka the post-credit scene,
The movie.
the movie.
That's
That is
essentially how I felt about it.
that's but that's what's going to happen if Joker shows up in this movie.
Not a no, no.
100%. I if
Venom, let there be carnage.
no
Matt Reeves, the Batman. What are we doing here, Clay?
no
Every
no no no
character
no
is
no no
methodically
no
taught
no.
out. Every
It's
character is perfectly. No, no, not listen to
it's
that. That is rubbish.
it's
I'm not
no,
listening to
it's
that.
not it's
Rubbish.
not about the quality of these films.
Yes, it
It's
is
about the
because
it's
you're
about the
saying a
cameos.
post-credit scene
It's about the
overshadows
cameos
Venom.
and the
No,
surprises.
no, not in most flicks. Yes, in most comic book movies. Yes, the Batman is not exactly going to be your run-of-the-mill comic book movie. So no, I do
It's gonna
not
be
think.
a comic book movie.
Yeah, but no, Clay, it's not the same thing. This trailer was not like other trailers for the Batman. There was no like, oh, look at this little Easter egg of this. There was none of that in that trailer. There's none of that. That's not the stuff that they're focusing on. There will be Easter eggs in it, of course, but that's not the kind of stuff. Like for example, in BVS trailer, we had just even a shot of the Riddler's question mark in a little graffiti, and people were picking apart that. I don't think. No, it's not, John. It's not going to
Yes,
be all the general
yes,
audience
it
talking
is
about.
all they are going
Nobody
to
talked
talk
about
about.
it. Not everyone talked about the Batman Begins end thing of showing the Joker card. So I don't even know what like I Venom Let There Be Carnage was an average comic book movie. Was not the average.
Was not
It
an
was
average.
It was it was not an exceptional comic book movie,
That's
as
the
Bubs.
joke. That's what he
Yeah,
means.
yeah. I was gonna say
But,
it's not like the
what I'm
Batman.
saying, again, what I am saying is because of the popularity and the boom of the popularity of the Joker character, I don't care what people say, the Joker did that. It made the character more known and more popular. So when you see the Joker unexpectedly in this Batman movie, when you're not even freaking expecting it, and I'm not going to the extent of what Snell says he is like his wet dream is like, oh, I want somebody to fall in the pad of toxic waste in the background and you barely see it. And then like later on, you see him come out as the Joker. Like, no, not that, because that is overwhelmingly obvious. I'm just saying if Barry comes out as the Joker randomly as a moment right before the credits, so that way it's technically not a post-credit scene or a mid-credit scene. It happens within the movie. People will freak out, and that is all they will talk about.
If the movie was a very generic, if that's the case, then I don't think the movie's going to be very good. Because yes, you can say that about Venom, Let There Be Carnage with the post credit scene. That's different. That was a very average to mediocre
No,
movie.
the
This movie
conversation will
being
be like,
billed,
dude, that
no,
Batman movie was so badass. And that fucking Joker scene, oh my God.
no, I
That is
don't
how
even
it
think
will
we're
go.
getting that, Clay. I don't think we're getting that. I don't think that'll be like that. Like you're not going to start off your trilogy like that. He's not going to do that. So I think this is all pie in the sky. But even then, I do not see like I said with Batman. I see it more Batman Begins. I don't even see us seeing this guy. Maybe we'll see him like as Bub says as a policeman, and maybe that's the Joker. Maybe we'll find out in his next movie that that was the Joker. But I don't think we're going to get any indication that he is a Joker in this movie. You're not going to do that with all the great characters that you're trying to tell. Some of them potentially getting their own HBO Max spinoffs. I don't see it. And if you have the Batman movie and all they are talking about is the little 1 minute scene before the credits where we get to see the Joker, and he hasn't done anything to cause any shit up throughout the movie, and that's all they talk about the movie, then the movie is ultimately not the story of the movie is ultimately a failure for me because that's not what the movie should be discussed. That should be something that is discussed in the movie. But unless the Joker is playing a pivotal role in the plot or even behind the scenes, I don't understand
You
why
you
everyone
have
would be
to
talking about it.
but you can't think of this as a comic book fan. You have to think of this as a random person
Yes, and
who's taking a chance on a Batman
if
movie.
you saw 250 minutes of an awesome badass Batman and saw 1 minute of Joker who didn't do anything, you just got an appearance of the Joker, you're not going to talk about the Joker. If you saw the Joker do something cool, yes, you're going to. But if you see
No
the Joker
way.
walk out and go,
No. You can't
no,
tell me that the influence that the Joker has had in almost every movie that he's been in, even with the general audience, 2 movies.
at his own movie, but that is I don't even if you anyone watch Taxi Driver, like watch the movie Taxi, like essentially that's essentially what Joker is just mass like just
Oh,
followed up as a comic book movie,
I
but
understand that,
I
but
don't
still,
think that it's like you said like made
I
it
think
more popular
ever
than it
since
ever
The
was.
Dark
I don't
Knight,
think Joker's any more popular now than he was 10 years ago. No, I just think that there was no Joker movie for to capitalize on that. You're screwing up your face, but The Dark Knight was a gigantic hit because the Joker was in it, and played a big role in it. Big role in
yes,
it.
but
I don't think he's any more popular now than he was 10 years ago. I just think that there was a film that said, "Oh, we're going to look at the Joker," and everyone's like, "Spoiler: We've loved the Joker since Jack, so even longer, but pop culture wise."
see, you were acting as the Joker is just a normal character.
No, I don't. From what you said, the minute thing at the end of the movie, that's not going to be discussed when you have a movie that potentially is going to be the best Batman movie ever. That's what a lot of people are saying about that. I don't see the whole.
You think the conversations are going to be like, oh yeah, Batman was great, Catwoman was great, oh yeah, Joker, okay, whatever, and
If he
that's not
doesn't
how it's
do
going to
anything, if
go.
we got a minute of him at the end and you have 15 or 20 awesome minutes of Catwoman doing such cool things, you have amazing Riddler stuff, you have amazing Penguin stuff, and you got a minute of Joker showing up in, you think that's what they're going to be talking about? All that?
Yes.
No,
Yes.
no,
I
sorry. If he does
right out of
something,
the film,
yes, but
right
he's
out of the movie, as they
no,
walk out, it's the last thing that they
no,
see.
that's
It's
not.
going to be embedded into their brain.
Clay, I didn't hear anyone talking about the Joker card. And that set up a spin-off, and I never heard anyone talk about that. All I heard talk about was how awesome Batman Begins was with my friends. Like I went out and watched the movie with, and I was a general audience person at the time, really, or pretending to be one, not in depth with this stuff. And all anyone talked about, nobody talked about the card, nobody except me. All I could think about was, holy crap, that was Joker card. That's awesome. And all anyone could think about and talk about was how great the Batman movie was in general.
If the Joker shows up, that's at least 45 minutes of the spoiler review. Because you know it's true.
I
You know
don't.
it's true.
If
You
I
know,
don't,
you know for a
but
fact.
no, yes, for people like Travis Snell, who's going to be like, I wonder what Joker will do in the next two films, and all stuff I want to see him do. But if I saw, if personally, and my experience with general audience members, if they are though, like even the post credit scenes for Marvel kind of set up stuff, but I don't see that happening here with Joker. I don't think that's, and from his Planet of the Apes and War, like of his movies, I don't see him doing that for the setup. I don't see that at all. That's just me, as my opinion. Travis, come out of he hears Mr. Snell
Yeah,
hears he
because
just.
I knew he was going to want to hear our conversation about this. I knew he was going to
I'm
be
not
here.
saying Joker's not popular. I think that Joker's as popular now as he was. I don't think that that Joker movie made him more popular. I think it just showed how popular he truly is. Because
Oh, no.
ultimately, yeah, I
No.
don't think that the Joker.
Take it
No,
as somebody who likes Batman, who hates the
Joker's more
idea. Go
Joker's been
ahead.
more popular in both the live action movies and the Batman, like the counterparts. I'm not saying that. I just really think that 1 minute of him not doing anything. Like if you see him doing stuff, I will say that that's something that will that will dominate the topic of conversation. But I don't think just seeing him in the maybe no, I don't even think it's just seeing him in the makeup. Like I got to know what he's doing or what's going on.
But
Like
see, you're
the
you're
card
taking
thing.
it as you. I
No,
am
but I'm
talking
telling you
about the
about the card
general
experience from
audience.
Begins. I'm telling you about the card experience from Begins. With I went with 12 people from my residence, and most of them were like bros, dude bros kind of deal. And they did not talk about the card and what could happen. And oh my God, is Joker going to be in the next movie? That was not. It was Batman's Batmobile. Oh my God, that's so cool, and all that stuff.
Snell says, I think the Joker can only go down in popularity. I don't think he can go up. 2008 was the peak, and that's varied since then.
That's a good point too, because of the Dark Knight. Uh, don't dare say dude, bro, Clay. But like, I'm not saying he's not popular, and like, we clearly got an example. He can drive his own movie. I don't know how much of that too is the character or the actor doing that performance, but that's a Joaquin Phoenix type of performance there
See,
too.
I disagree. I think that Heath Ledger and Joaquin Phoenix put such a staple on the character that people now know who the Joker is.
Quite how
I
old are you again? I just curious.
Me?
Yeah.
I'm 29.
Okay, you're not that much younger than me, but for my parents and even people 5-ish years older than me, Jack is their Joker too. And he
Well,
made that staple onto that
SBub
character.
says the
And
actor controls the popularity, which is very true. The same thing goes for almost any character, whether it be Batman, whether it be Green Lantern, whether it be Superman, whatever. So
and Snell
I
backing up my point, saying Jack did the same to him that you said Ledger and Phoenix. And that was kind of how it's honestly, in my opinion, that's what made the character more popular than Batman. And then ever since then, it's kind of been that way because Jack got top billing over Batman. And
yeah,
then that happened again when we got The Dark Knight. Joker outshone Batman again. And then we get Joker getting his own movie and that hitting 1 billion. So I'm not saying Joker's not a popular character. And I don't know if Snell's right about he can't get any more popular because like if you introduce new people to the character, yes, and develop new stories, I suppose he can get more popular. But I the people have loved the Joker more than the Batman since 1989, at the very least.
Ooh.
They love Joker more than Batman. That was a hard fact.
Or do they
That
like Jack Nicholson more than
well,
they
he
do Michael
was the
Keaton?
Joker, right? Clay, he was the Joker until he.
No, but that's what I mean. Is do they like Jack Nicholson more than Michael Keaton? That's the difference, you know?
I feel like that was the case back then, like when uh, it was going out. But now I don't know with with the new interpretations of the Joker. I don't know if Jack's is like if you hold them both up now. I don't know if Keaton's isn't better with the test of time.
But even so, let's take it to this one movie. You would then say, okay, who is more popular, Robert Pattinson or Barry? I forgot how to pronounce his last name. Freaking uh, Kyogan, I think is how you pronounce it. Um, who's more popular? Robert Pattinson would clearly be more popular. So in this instance, yes, you can say, okay, Joker is not as popular as Batman in today's era because they're going to look at these characters as the actors as what they're playing them.
I
But
think
I
Joker is a
think,
special case of that though, because of the character performance we've seen. That I think that anybody who's given the Joker, if they're a good character actor,
and the thing
like
is, I genuinely think both Robert Pattinson and Barry are the kind of like pretty bory heartthrob actors. Like
yeah,
I just look at them. That's who they are. So I think it's a little funny that two pretty boys are playing these very dark characters. But I genuinely because if you get Joe Schmo to be the
well, wait,
Joker,
allegedly.
allegedly, if you get Joe Schmo to play the Joker and they see him and they're like, who the hell is that? Okay. But if you get now a familiar face to the general audience, because the general audience went to go see Eternals. Why? Because it's a Marvel movie. Let's be perfectly clear. That's how things work. They now go see the Batman. Now, this photoshopped photo kind of makes it hard to believe that it is Barry because there's a lot of fog on it. There's a lot of the like you can kind of tell that's Barry, but not really. It would be interesting to see how many people recognize him. But I do believe that because of how much Joker we have gotten, even if you didn't like Suicide Squad, he was still in there. Even if you didn't like the Joker, he was that entire movie. Even if you want to say you don't like The Dark Knight, he was in there. Like The Dark Knight was what, 08? It's
He
been
was the
12
best part
years?
of the Dark Knight for me, anyway.
12 years since that movie?
Yeah,
In 12 years, we've had 3 Jokers. And then, of course, we still have a whole shit ton of animation Joker and video game Joker. Joker has still been a part of pop culture. So when you see the Joker in this movie, if you do, excuse me, it is going to be a huge topic of discussion.
it
It is
depends
not.
on the presentation for him. I
Uh,
think. Clay, I think if you show him in the purple, the iconic suit and stuff, if you show him just on the side of the sidewalk and you don't even know who it is, like there's stuff that
oh,
because you said,
I can think of 3 different scenarios where my fucking brain would come out of my ears.
yeah, but you said to me before you got to think about general audience. So I
But
that
that's what I
tease
but
for
that's what I
him,
mean.
you got to
In
actually smack somebody over the head with him.
in a comic book movie, you can either come out like this. They end up putting Riddler in Arkham and boom, he's right there in Arkham. Like he is right there next to the freaking bars in his cell or whatever door, whatever you want to talk about it. People will freak out. Even if they don't even see him, if they just see the name, they will freak out. Then let's take it your scenario. We end at a freaking Batman sunrise and he's going back to the mansion. And all of a sudden you see fucking Joker skipping along the sidewalk. People will still freaking freak out. You know, it's going to happen. Like any moment with the Joker, I'm not going to say it is going to happen, but any moment that you put the Joker on screen where the visual indication of, hey, this is Joker, freak out. Doesn't matter what.
I'm not saying it's not going to be a freak out. I just don't think it'll dominate conversation unless he does something. If you just show him, I don't think, especially if you have a.
You give him a laugh, you
I'm not.
give him a smile,
Nope,
people.
I'm not doing the Venom. I'm not like putting this in the same category of Venom of the movie because the Venom movie was very average to me. The second Venom movie, just a regular movie, if not as good. And the post credit scene was my favorite part of the movie. That will not happen with the Batman. That credit scene, the way you're describing it, that will not be my favorite scene. Not even in the top 5 of them. It will be something that you discuss for what can happen to the like in the next movie and what's going forward.
As Bub says, the post-credit scene would literally just be Joker opening a door and walking into a blank room, and people would go nuts.
Apparently,
Now, I do want to reiterate. I believe Matt Reeves has doubled down on him not having any post-credit scenes, and the reports have said that there is no post-credit scene.
that
I
makes sense with
do
the tone of the
believe,
film.
I do believe that if Joker is in here, it is within the film, but it will be right before the credits.
You think he could be in there not right before the credits, not dress up as anything, and we not find out until the second film that
See,
maybe
that's
he
what
was
Travis wants.
watching Batman?
Because then, let's say no one notices, and then confirmation from Matt Reeves. Oh, by the way, Joker was in the movie the entire time. Then people are gonna, of course, buy more tickets, go see the movie again and again and again, try to find, oh, who is he? Who is he? Who is he? And of course, Barry is playing this police officer. But if it's not Barry, people are still going to be like, okay, it needs to be obvious. Where is he? Where is he? You know, I don't think it'll be a, what do you say? Zoom into Barry Crenshaw slowly smiling, cut to credits.
And we got a little thing today, which was funny. I know
Well, it's
this will be the ultimate GIF of Charlie with the conspiracy board, but Barry put out a Instagram story today of him laughing.
Oh, he did. It was on the subway.
Yeah.
Um, he was waiting for the subway and he was like laughing. And so people are all going crazy about that. But also on comicbook.com, I don't know if you remember this. Um, I think it was Chris Killian was giving an interview to Barry, and he's like, "Oh, by the way, you're in the Batman." And before he could even question anything, Barry was like, "Hey, and we're not going to talk about that."
Shut it down is what he was
Shut it
like.
down super quick. So of course people are freaking out about that as well.
But
Now,
that could be him playing up to this too, right?
yeah, this could totally be what's his name? Benjamin whatever as Green Lantern in Zack Snyder's Justice League.
Yeah.
You know, this could be that exact thing.
Him just playing it
Um
up. Although I never heard of that other actor, he was just Barry was just in Eternal, so uh,
True.
unknown. Him-
Very true.
Yeah.
I understand it. But I
I will
don't know,
never
man.
forgive that guy for trying to deceive me into making me think he was Green Lantern. Son of a gun.
I do think though that if he's in here, even if FSpub says zoom in on Barry smiling, cut to credits, freak out.
I think people will
Because
talk
then,
about it and
because
freak out, but I just
yeah,
don't think it will dominate, like you said, like the first thing people talk about. I think it'll be discussed, but I think if we just got that where it zooms into him as himself, but
oh no,
solely
see
smiling,
the
I don't
way
think
the
that
way
that'll
the
be the thing.
conversations will go, because same thing
You're
with
not giving people
Eternals.
credit for. You're basically saying the last thing you see is the first thing you're going to talk about,
Yes, with Eternals,
regardless of what
with
you enjoy.
Eternals, with Eternals. What did everybody talk about? They talked about freaking the judge coming up and snatching everybody. And what else did
That's
they
a
talk?
bit
And what
different. We're
else did they
talking
talk
about
about?
Marvel post-credit
And
scenes. We're
what
not
else did
talking
they
about the
talk about?
scene.
They
Wait,
talked about
tell
the
me what
first
happened
post
just.
credit scene, because I'm not going to say anything
No,
because it's
tell
still
me
in
what
theaters and I'm
happened.
not going to
Tell me
spoil
what
everything.
happened just before the movie ended, just before it went to the first credits, before any post-credit scene. Tell me what happened. The last scene before it went to credits.
It was Kit Harington's character staring off into the abyss of space, kind of. I mean, not really the abyss of space. He was just staring up in the sky.
I don't know how memorable that
Boom,
is.
boom.
No, people were talking about who was that voice. That's what they were talking about,
They were
Clay.
talking about who's the voice, and we're not going to specify. If you want to go listen to the spoiler review, go listen to it
We
on
were both a
Marvel
part of that.
Alliance.
So Marvel Alliance guys, we're not having a Marvel Alliance corner here. We're
No,
just
I'm just
discussing
I'm
something we
just
were both part
saying
of.
there are moments, the end point of a movie, even if it has a post credit scene or not, it needs to stick to a point where people are wowed. Even if 99% of the movie is $1 billion, they're still going to want that extra dollar. Right there, that 1%. Whoever makes that movie, they're always going to want that 1% at the very end. That's what gets people to be like, "Oh shit."
Maybe if you didn't give complete creative control to Matt Reeves, I would understand that.
And you
But
think Matt
he
Reeves
grabbed him by
doesn't
the
want
voice grab. No, I think he cares about the story first and foremost. I didn't watch Planet of the Apes and expect to see Caesar's ultimate villain there hiding it. No, he did show
does
in
Caesar have an
scenes that
ultimate villain? I don't
no, I'm just saying,
watch
Clay,
Planet
like
of the Apes.
he told the story and had scenes set up the way he wanted to tell the story through the arc of the two movies he directed. So I don't think he's going to put something in to get that 1%. I think he's going to put something in if he wants to advance his story. I don't think he cares about the 1%. That's not he. If he wants to do a good job, he can't
And you
care about
don't think
that.
Joker's going to advance the story?
If he wants to talk about the Joker, we don't know. That's the thing. You're only thinking about it from the money side and the marketing, but they can't do that to him now because they gave him creative control. They can't come in and force him to put people in his movie or anything like that because he really bargained at the highest
But
position of strength that he was at.
all you have to do is say, Matt Reeves, we want you to make a Batman movie, and we want you to make multiple Batman movies.
They did
So
that and they gave him the
it's
contract.
exactly. So in his head, he already has to say, okay, what is going to get more people to come back for
No,
my
that's
second
not
movie?
what he has to say. That is what a
Yes.
bad filmmaker does. A good filmmaker,
No.
no, what do I have to do to tell this story? Not about what do I have to do to get people to come in. The story that you tell will get people to come in, not what do I put into this story to get more people to come in. No, that's a recipe for making a overstuffed crap. That's not a method for making a good story. You gotta like do not think that Matt Reeves is thinking about that at all. I just don't.
I th- I I think it's very ignorant to think Matt Reeves is not thinking about his other movies.
He is thinking about his other movies. The story, not to get 1% more gross profit thing. That's what you're thinking about. And
No,
that's not
I am saying what I am saying is he's going to put one scene at the very end of his movie to say, okay, we had this story and there's going to connect a story. But how are we going to bridge the ending of this movie to the beginning of this next
we
movie?
don't know that because we don't know how long
That's
one
how
starts
movies
or the other.
work. That's how connected movies work. At the end of freaking at the what's the freaking film? A New Hope. At the end of A New Hope, they are freaking okay. We got the team back together. Now let's go save the galaxy. That is the mission. And then at the end of freaking oh my Empire Strikes Back, freaking the Empire is winning. Like we get those moments of like, oh shit. Like I can't wait until the next one. That is what's
Not all the time, Clay. In Batman 89, we didn't get that. We didn't know if we were going to get another one.
you can't compare storytelling from
You just
back
said the
then
New
to
Hope 70s, and I can't say 89 movie? Come on now.
but okay, well, I guess 89 and Returns were
If you're talking
connected.
about wait, let me rephrase that. If you're talking about the new way Marvel does the cinematic universe, now
No, I'm not
I
talking
want to
about
rephrase
that.
that too because Matt Reeves has a lot of other irons in this Batman universe. So I will say that I cannot rule. I he probably will have set up to multiple things in this movie. He may, like there's a Gotham PD. There's supposedly a Catwoman series. There's so many things he's supposed to set
That's
up.
not even rumored yet.
I
That's
don't
still
know
people
how he's going to
wanting
do all
Catwoman.
that and set up his movie. So now I'm a little worried about the whole thing. Uh, if that's his goal, I don't know. I feel like he's going to tell a story, but his story is 3 movies long. So you are right. There will be things setting up one movie to another. I just don't know if we'll have like the end of one movie into the next movie, or will it like is there time jumps? There's so many different variables that we don't know about his other two movies before we can go assuming what's he going to put into this one. That's all I'm trying to say in a roundabout way.
And I just want to say you can't say that as far as connective storytelling between 89 and Returns, because the only thing that connects that story is the character of Batman and Keaton. There's no in story like
No,
thing that connects those two stories.
yeah.
So you can't. That's why I was like, you can't use that example because
Well,
it doesn't. It
I'm
literally doesn't
saying there
work.
was no connective for that. Like they made
Yes.
that first one not setting up something else. I know they did with New Hope, but they didn't. They didn't make either one of those setting up something else. That could be more about Tim Burton and the way he is as a director. You know what I mean? Like he doesn't want to, like I don't know,
Yeah.
corporate level. You know what I'm talking about? Like he didn't
Yeah.
really want to make Returns. Didn't make Forever, which he did make Forever. But I want to see the Joker so bad. I want to see Reeves take. But like you said, the last time we discussed this, I don't want him to put this in here for the sake of putting it in here. I only want him to put this in here if this
No,
is like part of the
and
story.
I've voiced my opinion on it. I want this trilogy without Joker.
Yeah, I don't
Like
know. I think there's a 25% part of you that just wants that because you know somebody it will devastate somebody else a lot.
no, like the one reason why is because the one thing that everybody always talks about when it comes to Batman is that he has the best rogues gallery of villains. And in live action, as far as movies go, we've only seen 3 or like 4. Like we've seen a very small amount and they keep getting recycled. I
Yeah.
don't want those recycled. I want to see more of those characters. And I feel like a lot of those characters can still fit in whatever Matt Reeves wants to do with his universe. Now, that is why I don't want a Joker. I understand if they do want to put a Joker because hey, Joker makes money. Like it's that at that point you're just printing money. I understand that. But I do think that if you put a Joker in here, or if you plan on putting a Joker in here, it is because, hey, I can write a story about this, yes, but I do know I will sell more tickets with Joker than I will with freaking Humpty Dumpty
But
or
also
Scarecrow.
just want you are right there. But also it does also put pressure on you to if you use that character, will you live up to the standards of a Nicholson, a Ledger, a Phoenix, for example? Like Phoenix is the one that's pretty revered. And if you're Reeves, do you even want to touch that, or do you want to just like I'll give Reeves this credit. I've never heard the Riddler talked about more serious. Not talked about because he was talked about when Jim Carrey was the Riddler, and we've gotten eccentric versions of that. But I've never heard him talked about in such a respectful way for the
Yeah.
character. Most times it's a joke, but with this, with him, so I would love to see him take on other characters. We got a tiny bit of the Penguin. We don't know enough from that, but I would love to see him take on other characters and make them less of a joke. I'd love to see him do Mr. Freeze, Clay. Like I would love to see him do tortured Mr. Freeze. Like, oh my god, to get away from the freaking freeze puns that we got before and get more into the heartache of losing his wife. Oh my god, the freeze puns. I actually had a question on my trivia. Did I delete it about how many freeze puns were used in Batman and Robin? Because I thought that
Oof.
was like something that would be. It was in the 20s. I want to say 28, something like that.
20s?
28
Jesus Christ, why?
for one film, and I was complaining about one Supergirl line. I sent it to you, and then
Oh
I think
God, we're
about
not
that,
gonna
and I'm
talk
like,
about that. We're
yeah,
not gonna talk about that.
no, God, no.
So overall, do we think Barry is going to be Joker? Could it
No,
happen? No.
no.
I'm going to say no. I'm going to go ahead and say no.
Sorry, Snell.
Not because I want to poke at Snell, but I genuinely think this is Barry riding the high of Eternals and just having fun with the rumors and possibilities and getting all of that attention. I think that's what it is.
It'd
And
be
is
pretty
that bad?
cool.
I don't think so.
It'd be pretty cool if he didn't have his Joker picked out yet. and maybe this caused him to take a look at it. But actually, let me rephrase that. It wouldn't be pretty cool because that mean his plan for his trilogy is not as planned out as I would have thought. So yeah,
Man,
I'm
you're
going to
just
take that whole
contradicting
thing back.
yourself all day tonight, man.
No, I just was,
I mean, I
I was
get it.
thinking
I
about,
get it.
I was thinking
It's
about
it's
the other
nearly midnight
sides.
for you, so I understand.
I
I
was just thinking
understand.
about the other sides, both sides to it. So I'm trying my best.
Now, before we go, we also, there was now I don't know if it's been confirmed necessarily. You sent this to me. There is going to be uh, a screening of the Batman. Well, actually, before we talk about this, let's go ahead and take our last ad break here, real quick. Again, guys, we do not choose the ads. We don't choose how many times they repeat or the volume. So I'm going to give you a 3 count, and we will be right back. Ready? 3, 2, 1, and we are back. So there's going to be another screening, and when you told me this, I immediately asked you, why would there be another screening? And the reasoning why I was asking you this is because I said it's been highly praised all around. People have been loving it, even though the only negative, quote unquote, negative thing that anybody has ever said about these screenings is that it's a long film, that it's nearing 3 hours, right? So why would they do another screening? Did they cut the hours? Did
That's
they
what I
make
was
the
gonna
movie
say.
shorter?
Maybe they cut a half hour.
And I asked, do you think it's because of the negative reaction of Eternals being too long?
No, not at all. Because I think their history is more for this to make money. So I think that like we got, like I was telling you when we were talking about this the other day, BVS, they cut 30 minutes of BVS not for any other reason, only to get more screens per day, so to get more people into more showings per day. So getting more people into them, thus theoretically increasing how much money you're going to make. I don't know if it really worked that way for them because
Well,
of
the
the
one thing
critical
that,
response to the 30 minutes being taken out.
yeah,
Because I saw a lot of people after I made a point to watch some of the reviewers' Ultimate Edition review, and the difference in a lot of them was very like night and day.
yeah.
So just to see that the critical reception probably would have helped. It is a good study, Clay, for the difference in critical reception and word of mouth
Well,
and run.
my big thing is the fact that, like you just said, oh, well, the studio would want more screenings. But we also just talked about the Joker, and you said, well, no, Matt has complete control over this. Now, if they cut the time with this, that is not giving Matt what he has been asking for and what he
Well, we
demanded.
don't know. We don't know that. We just that could have been the first cut of the film. That like you said, there's stuff. This might not even be true. This whole showing the film again for more people, like screening it, but it could just could be another cut of the film. Like I want to say because of how he negotiated the contract that it has to be pretty ironclad, but like again, WB, so not 100% sure. But we haven't had any rumors or anything to the contrary. And although people didn't want to believe it back, release the Reeves cut. Uh, there was a lot of reporting back in 2016 about all the issues and the shoots, and that people just chose to put their head in the sand and believe that it wasn't true, myself included. So we haven't got any of that. All we've gotten about this is Pattinson and Zoe Kravitz having sex on a Batmobile in front of everybody. Obviously, that's not true. But
Release the Reeves cut 2022 for sure. Jeez. Um I don't know, man. You're right. It could very well be that that was the very first cut of the film, which in any case, in any movie, there are usually 1 or 2 cuts. Um, just depends on what the studio reaction is, and of course, the audience reaction is to the multiple cuts. Um, this one is rumored to be in 2 days. I think we said Wednesday of this week was
yeah,
when we were talking about it first. It says um,
think the new
now
Spider-Man trailer will be on.
in front of the screening. Yeah, I don't think so. Um, But I don't know, man. I
This,
want to think this is positive.
yeah,
I do. And I do think it's positive. But for me, if like you get positive reactions on the first cut, like I'm the kind of person, and maybe it's just like talks to me and my character. Like we're both in school. I take a quiz and it's like, oh, you made a 92, but you have two more attempts. I'm not making any more attempts. I got a 92. I passed. Boom. I get another test. It's an 87. I have two more attempts. I'm not shooting for anything else. I passed. Good to go.
A plus here, Clay.
You know, I don't care about A pluses. I just
You'd be
care if
like
I pass.
attempts.
No, I'd like the only time you should ever attempt more is if you fail. Like if you pass, you pass, you know? So if you get the first cut of the Batman film and people are just gushing all over it, boom, you're good to go.
I don't think that's his director mentality.
That's all you got to do. It's like, boom, I made the perfect Batman movie.
You make some films in a year. Done, done.
Hey, but people love it. Let's do it.
I can't wait to see this film, Clay. Like this is the thing we're most excited for. We're not getting we're not going to think this is bad news, even though there is a possibility that it could be. Uh, I'm just going to choose to think that it's good. Until I see some negative reaction from it. We'll get another. When do you think we're going to get another trailer? Probably a little after Christmas. Get 51 to 100. He's good to go.
He's good to go.
As Bubs, I always say in the chat. I always have
I
to laugh in the
think
chat.
I would say, well, let's think of it this way. What is the next? Is the next big WB film? No, the next big WB film is Matrix. What's the next big WB film in 2022?
I'm not sure.
Let's see here. WB movies.
The Batman's in
2022.
March, so
It's
January,
in
February,
March.
March. So January,
And
February.
there's not really a whole lot of stuff that usually comes out in February or January. January is kind of uh a dead month. So 2022 we have The Duke. No. Let's see here. 2022 Operation Mincemeat, Sesame Street, Parallel Mothers. The next one is the Batman. Holy crap.
Which makes me think we may get something around Christmas time, like after Spider-Man, of course, but maybe something in January. Because people count the first thing as the first trailer, but no, what we got at Fandom was the first official
Yes,
trailer.
but like again, what is it that WB has 4 movies before Batman in 2022? None seem big. And that's what I mean. Whenever studios want to promote one of their big movies, they usually put it out in front of big movies that they know people are going to go see. So would they take the chance and be like, "Hey, let's put the Batman in front of a Sony film?"
I think they could. I think they also could just do a trailer release, kind of like Spider-Man. I think Batman would be on a relatively similar view count. So I think that I don't. I think the Batman markets itself. Like it's a Like Batman is like Spider-Man, for example. So I don't find it hard for them to market this. Uh, but trailer-wise, they could even put it on HBO Max, and I don't know. Because we had the
It's
Disney Plus stuff on Disney Plus as well. So I could see them doing
do
that.
you honestly think we get a third trailer? Because technically this will be a third trailer.
No, because of saying that, I think we will get another one because the first one was not technically a trailer; it was a teaser look. It was 20%
Ah,
of 25% of the film was
it's
filmed.
25% of the film, but it was like 2 minutes long.
Yeah, but a lot of we saw a nice few of those shots in this previous trailer too. So
Because I do believe this second trailer was, oh man, can I even call this trailer a story trailer? We need a story trailer.
Well, that's what I mean. So we will get another trailer at least before.
Damn
And
it.
usually, but the thing about that is usually those story trailers come out a month before the movie, 3 weeks before the movie. So uh, I don't know how they're going to go with that. It's interesting, Clay, for sure.
Again, but like I said, the first 2 months of the calendar year are pretty dead when it comes to movies though. Like, so what is going to draw people into the movie theater, excuse me, to be able to see, because that's what WB is like. WB doesn't care about the views on YouTube. They care about people going to see movies in theaters.
Well, yes, they
So
do in a sense. They care about converting those views into ticket purchasers.
true.
Yeah, like they when you get the views, you get the excitement. You're like, oh my god, you maybe even can kind of project depending on models you have.
Oh shit. Hold on. What if you put the Batman trailer in front of Morbius?
You could do that. You really, really could.
Now that I think about it, maybe.
But I don't know where where Sony's playing so nice with the MCU. I don't know if they'd even do that.
Well, I'm looking at this calendar year for 2022 to see what is big enough to bring people into the theater. You have Morbius, you have Jackass Forever. You're gonna have, because I just feel like you're gonna have loyal fans of that series going out there. Um, After that, Uncharted, maybe, and then after that, you go right into March, which is the Batman. So maybe it would be, maybe. Oh, you know what? Ambulance, the Michael Bay film. I think Michael Bay sells tickets. Like, I don't know if that's just me, but I think Michael Bay, that has Jake Gyllenhaal. Yeah. Like, I think it is on par with like being able to be big enough for people to go see. So I think you have a good chance of seeing Morbius, Uncharted, or Ambulance, um, with the Batman in front of that, in front of those movies. Not Man Bat though. No S Bubs. Not Man Bat. Morbius. It's two
I
different things.
I always know, like, you'll know when I read SBub's post because I'll just laugh without reason. So
But
I like
well, go ahead. Go ahead.
the one other thing I want to say is Daniel RPK just tweeted out essentially that Batgirl will spin into
Oh yeah, that's something else we were going to talk about very briefly.
but Batgirl will leads into Black Canary solo. Maybe that means we'll see Black Canary in the Batgirl movie, maybe a lot, maybe a little, maybe at the end post credit scene.
I
So
think they're going to finally make the real Birds of Prey.
yeah, same.
So I think that would be very, very cool. I think that it is very smart marketing for them to connect these movies because they're both going to be originals on HBO Max. Kind of show that there is, of course, a connective universe and all of that. Um,
Yeah.
and then, there's still rumors that, we will see Batflick in Batgirl, but we will see.
Yeah, we don't know anything about that. Obviously, we'll talk about that stuff more when we get it. I just wanted to talk about the Daniel RPK thing because, first of all, I didn't know we get as much talked about as we did. But also, it's interesting to me because I want to see that Black Canary show so bad, or movie. I'm not sure, movie, right? Solo
Yeah.
movie.
Yeah.
Things are movies, shows, movies, shows. I'm so confused these days. But Clay, I think that's everything.
That is everything on the docket this week. Next week, of course, we will be talking about the Flash. Um, that's
Can't
going to
believe
be
I'm going.
interesting.
I can't believe I'm dipping my toe. Said myself I wasn't going to do it, and
I I
I'm back.
haven't I haven't seen the Flash since the end of season 4. So,
I
and
posed the
then of
question to
course all the
Chris.
crossovers.
I
But
posed the question to Chris in our little chat we were having today, myself and Chris. When when you're a writer, when do you leave out the fact that you're a writer on the Flash? Like, at what season do you think? Like, I know if I put in wrote on season 1 and 2 of the Flash, they'd be like, "Ooh," but at what point would they go, "Ooh," or
you you,
"Oh
you
man, you
just
were
be.
part of that"? Like,
I would
I'm
say
thinking
I
like
would
season
say
6.
I would say season 4, because there was moments in season 4 that I were like, okay, I can get behind this. Um, but then there was also parts in season 4 that I was just like,
The stone cold person in me said after season 3 to Chris, but then I said maybe after season 5 instead. But after season 3 was my first initial go to because that's how I actually feel. But I wondered, like, when someone's
no,
interviewing you and
Barry,
you put
we
that
are the
down.
Flash.
Wait, which line? You put in there. I was the one that came up with "We Are the Flash." I'd be like, "Get out!" Oh my, yeah, just a little funny tidbit there.
But
Clay,
anyway, guys, thank you, S Bubs, and everybody who is watching live for showing up tonight. Really good discussions. We will wait and see who is actually the Joker, if there is going to be a Joker in the Batman. S Bub says, "Writer of the Flash until it stopped being good." 2014 to question mark. Um, oof.
2017, S Bubs,
Uh,
2017.
But of course, you can always find me at Fanboy Clay on Twitter. Linktree is in the bio to the links to all the shows that I host, that including DC Alliance, Batman News Weekly, Comic Book Legion podcast, Weird Science, manga, DC, and Marvel, as well as the Ranger Alliance and the newly added Star Wars Alliance. Travis, what about you? Where can they find you?
I don't have nearly as many shows, but you can find me on Twitter at Travis_156. You can drop me a line. We can chat about DC anytime. I also host superhero discussions on the network. Clay has been joining me talking about Young Justice season 4, but we also got a whole load of news from Marvel dropping a lot of Marvel animated properties that I wanted to talk about. I couldn't join the MA boys. Clay was kind enough to talk to me about those, especially X-Men 97. So tune in on Wednesday for our thoughts on those Marvel animated shows and Young Justice episode 406.
Very, very nice. But with that, guys, thank you again for listening, and we will see you guys next week.
Later, everyone.